It's on the computer. We're good.
Hello, hello. Here we go. Let's hope,
Hi there.
fingers crossed, that we're going to have successful connection.
We should.
So, hello and welcome to Education Talks. We're not doing it live this time because of some glitches, but we still need to hear what Pedro has to say. I was very lucky to meet him last week at a conference, and we got talking about education and our passions aligned. So here on Education Talks at Connect Hub, we've invited Pedro to come and speak to us about his innovative assessment strategies. Pedro, tell us a little bit about you and welcome.
Welcome. So glad to see you again. We've had a really fantastic week working together towards some new aspects and new technologies that could be applied in education, including AI. That was a great experience for both of us, I'm sure. As I'm a teacher, first of all, I usually introduce myself as a teacher of English as a foreign language in a private language school that I'm a co-founder of. So I'm also a director of studies, and I also develop educational programs and curricula. Basically, we are a school that promotes innovation or innovative practices in teaching English, but also we are combining English with ICT instruction. So we're teaching digital skills. And that's a program that we introduced back in 2015. It's called Digital Literacy for EFL students, and it combines building content in English for blogs, for websites, for videos, social media promotions, presentations, etc., with students aged 12 to 18. This program was also recognized by some international leading institutions that promote innovations in education, such as the Elton's Innovation Awards, organized by the British Council, that selected our program as one of the top 5 finalists in the local innovation category. And then we also got included into the 2019 collection of global innovations by 100, which is a Finland-based non-for-profit organization that promotes innovation in education globally. So that sort of gave us the impetus.
We've lost you again.
Oh, sorry.
There you are.
There you
That's
go.
okay.
I don't know what you got. What you caught from...
No, but it stopped at Finland 100,
100,
which is
yes. Finland is an organization that promotes innovation in education, that recognizes that what we do in the school is quite innovative. But besides introducing technology in our school, and besides the attempt to make our school paperless as much as we can, so that it's in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we're also trying to improve the methods of assessment in our school. So as you mentioned the topic, it's a very big issue in the formal education. At least we're a non-formal institution, so that gives us a lot of freedom and a space to try out new approaches and new methods. We still want to follow and monitor our students' progress, so we need a sort of assessment, but we didn't want to approach evaluation in the same way it's done in the formal schools, because students don't like it, some teachers don't like it. It doesn't really give any clear picture of what the students' progress is like, and it doesn't really help them form or improve their skills. So basically, we're talking about the distinction between summative and formative assessment, and that's where we stepped into the area of trying out new methods that I think would be quite interesting to be shared with my colleagues from all over the world.
Amazing. And I think there's going to be a lot of parents and people who are interested in also alternative or are practicing alternative forms of education, or those who are supporting their young people during home projects from their school. That would be really interested to hear what you have to say, not to mention educators who are teaching day in and day out. So hopefully this video will reach far and wide. And we can hear about some amazing innovations. I think one of the biggest challenges, well, there's two that I'd like to mainly focus on today. One, I literally just finished a podcast with, my battery is, I literally just finished doing a podcast with 2 young girls who are just at the top end of their education, coming to the final months. And they were saying how much pressure is on them to sit exams. Obviously, exams are for the teacher's assessment purpose as well as for the government assessment purposes. and how much pressure they feel, because often they say they don't understand the topics. They've had to cram for hours and hours and hours to achieve at an exam in a topic they either don't understand, didn't have really amount of time to learn, or are not interested in, or a combination of all together. And that's one. And the other is the pressures perhaps on teachers to get a whole class to reach a certain level, or parents to feel that their child is not reaching that level of what is required to learn, and that they're going to be assessed on. And then the pressures that everyone feels around this, and it takes the joy a little bit out of learning. And as we know, education is more and more and more redundant, more and more stuck in the past. And by having innovative ways to do things that we need to do, such as understand whether our pupils know stuff, is always just going to help to make it better. But my motto, as you can see behind me, is,
think outside the box.
Well, I want to get rid of the box.
And
actually.
get rid of remove the box, just think.
I think get rid of the box completely. And let's just remove the box and just think, right? Because education needs to stop putting plasters. We need to stop doing things that help us do what we've always done just a little bit better. Yeah. And I was listening to your model, and I believe that's really linking to that one.
Yeah, that's,
you got out of the norm.
Remove the box. Yeah, that's it.
Well, we could do other terms. I was going to call my podcast F the Box, because yeah. We just need to stop trying to think outside the box, but we're still somehow still focused on this box. Well, the box just needs to be burnt, and we can just have the beauty of our intelligent minds and just think about what's the best way to do it. So I think with that little intro, let's hear what you've done in your innovative ways, and we can share it far and wide.
Okay, I'll start with the end in the mind. I'll start with the final thing. Just when I got back from Belgrade, I published, because we already discussed that this is a good idea to be developed into a project and to, share with other schools and educations. The idea is project-based learning, for formative assessment through project-based learning with peer evaluation. And I'll explain the model in detail and how it functions. But when I got back from Belgrade, I published a post on Facebook asking, first of all, my colleagues, what do you think? Because I read a lot of people complaining about the evaluation process, that at the end of the year, it's a sort of bargain. Everybody's putting the pressure on the teacher to give a higher mark for the students. Parents react, because their grades are important for getting enrolled into the secondary school. And they're really disappointed because it doesn't really reflect the real knowledge of the students. So it's a big issue, and everybody's complaining, and nobody's happy. And then I posted a post saying, what would you say if we could actually totally change the evaluation system, the method of assessment? Instead of using summative assessment at the end of the school year, we introduce formative assessment methods throughout the whole year. Or if we want to summarize a final grade, we give the students a specific project where you're going to focus on assessing several skills, not just content development on the given topic, not just preparing a presentation, but also delivering the presentation, or making a video, or making a website, or, so you got digital skills, you got presentation skills, you got research skills, you got writing skills, you got a lot of skills that you could actually test your students on. But you give them a meaningful context, preferably something that they would like to do, that they find useful for their, educational and advancement, in a way, or just to make it fun enough so that they are willing to participate because they see that it's cool. So I'll tell you what the model that I used, for example. But before I go there, when I published this post on Facebook, there were a lot of comments, and a lot of teachers were reacting, oh, that's not possible. Maybe in Finland that will be possible, but here in Macedonia, it's not a way. So I basically tried to explain to people that if we start introducing this kind of model at the beginning of the school year, and also involving the students to define the criteria based on which they will evaluate each other, and then at the end of the school year, we make a sort of talent show where they will show their products and outputs in front of their colleagues, their students, their classmates, and they get evaluation from the students, who will evaluate them based on rubrics that you have created together with them. I'll go back through the process step by step again. then you have a really productive process, and you have enough sort of what do you call that, credibility to even show to your parents and to your superiors, to the principals, that hey, this is not me, this is their work. They evaluate their skills and achievement in this way. I'm just confirming, agreeing, or giving some extra feedback to help them improve. And then you won't have such a big pressure of fixing grades, improving grades, because parents react, because you'll just tell them this is what they did, it's their evaluation, and they feel that this is the amount of, this is the skills that they reach. The
And
interesting part was,
how much more impactful would education be if actually the student is the one saying, I really know how to do this, or I really don't know how to do this?
it would be
I mean,
fantastic.
that would just be
First of all,
remarkable, right?
yes,
Just like with all of us. I mean, if someone came in and asked me to do, I don't know, something huge with
Mhm.
marketing houses, I would immediately say, no, I'm not skilled to do that. I don't know how to do that. And if I chose to learn it, then I would be invested and say, okay, what do I need to know to become successful in that? And I would be engaged in that process. And then I would maybe in a month's time say, yes, now I can do that. And that's how life works. Unfortunately for our kids, they're told, this is what you have to know. This is how you have to learn it. And then this is how I'm going to assess whether you know it or not. But there's very little voice from the children saying, I don't know how to do that. Or, yes, now I know how to do that really good. And here's how I can show you. And having almost an autonomy in showing you how they know it. What do you think about what I've said?
Building confidence in the new generations, it should be the number one priority among educators. And you can only help them build their confidence if you give them a chance to deal with specific problems or challenges. I don't want to call them problems, challenges, and even ask them what they think should be the solution to the problem. But first of all, we have to keep in mind that what we are preparing these kids for, whatever kind of professions we're preparing them for, it's not going to happen. They're going to have different professions.
That's right.
Nobody trained us to be, I don't know, online educators,
That's
or
right.
to organize webinars as teachers, or to use so many different digital tools. We had to learn it on the way. So they also have to have that skill of learning on the way, but facing a much bigger amount
Yeah.
of information that they have to deal with. And that's where we have to give them the liberty to try out different ways, and then
Right.
the liberty to evaluate themselves based on the progress that they have achieved. It's about steady progress. It's not about perfection. Actually, I think that's on my t-shirt. No, it's the other one. It's not about it's not about perfection, it's about progress, giving them a chance
It's
to
about the process as
the
well,
process
right?
as
It's
well.
about the process that you go through and
So
the steps you make.
when you give them summative assessment, like a test at the end of the school year, it's like a final judgment, like a verdict. It's like, this is how much you know, and that's it. You cannot move further. That's wrong. I mean, of course, kids can achieve certain standards and levels, and we should define certain standards and levels. But I've got kids who are dyslexic, for example, in the class.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they cannot achieve and get good marks, based on
Right.
other skills that they will implement in doing a project. So it doesn't have to be just reading the text and answering the questions about the text. It could be they could prepare a video about the
Yeah.
text. They could prepare
Exactly.
the presentation,
Or a
or they could,
picture or a
or
painting.
just
Talk about.
present it.
Yeah.
They have a fun way of presenting. So
That's right.
how about teachers recognizing what kind of intelligences students have, and based on which they could define learning styles, and based on which they could define projects that they could use in the classroom, that the students will develop on their own based on
Yeah.
criteria that they have previously agreed on as a class. So this is what I do. Let me give you a specific example. We have a topic called music with eighth graders. These are 14-year-olds, 14 years old, in eighth graders or ninth graders, some of them. So I want them to check out some bands from the past, and I give them a project. So they have to choose a band. The project is called Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So they have to choose a band. They have to do a research about the band. I give them specific directions. They have to find background information about the band, success story, how they reached, how they became so successful, mention a few albums and the legacy of the band, and maybe some interesting facts. So they have to prepare a text, they have to know this information, and then they have to make a video. So in order to make a video, first they have to prepare a sort of presentation. They have
Yeah.
to find some pictures. They have to try it out. I give them some specific guidance, how to improve their presentation, how not to hum, how not to repeat, how to, the dynamics, the pace of the presentation. So we have a specific lesson about that. Then they practice with each other in front of the mirror. Then they record the video. Then I show them how to edit the video. Then they edit the video. And when they're done, we put all these videos on a platform like Padlet, for example, where they have a criteria, a rubric with criteria that we have previously discussed. Okay, so we're going to have a project. You have to do a research. You have to
know exactly what
they know exactly what they're trying to achieve, and they know that if they have these elements, they will get the highest points for that criteria. If they don't have some elements, they will get that many points. And if they have missed the total, they don't know what they're doing, they will get. But we never really get to the lowest points because there is enough time for feedback and for improvements before we come to the final stage of evaluation. And the final stage is putting all those videos on the platform, and then we go in the classroom. And then I choose 4 students that will be the experts, the panel of experts. They will have the rubrics in front of them, and we'll start watching the videos. We watch the first video, but it's not the student who is the expert, it's somebody from the other students. First, I ask them, I interview them. It's like a talent show.
They're evaluating each other.
It's like a talent show, We have Simon, we have all the others over there, and then I'm the presenter. So I start the show and I go like, okay, so how did you feel? Could you tell us a little bit about the process? How did you prepare? What was the difficulties that you faced? What kind of challenges did you? So I give them a chance to introduce their process to the evaluators, so that the evaluators understand that there have been some challenges, so that they don't have to be so strict. And we watch the video, and then I first ask the evaluators what they think about. I first ask the presenter, what do you think you could have done better? And they honestly say, I could have done that better. The digital skills, I didn't have enough digital skills, so my transitions are not so good. The music was too loud, or I was presenting in a very flat voice. They know what they were supposed to do.
We all know, don't we? We know
they're honest. They say honest. So how many points would you give yourself? That many points. And then the judges go and more or less they repeat what the presenter said about their work. Sometimes they're more strict about some issues because, they want to help. That's the idea. We tell them that you're evaluating their work, not because we want to judge them. It's because we want to help them improve their performance for the next project we're going to have. So they evaluate each other, they give the points, and then finally I summarize the points from the 4 judges, and we make a sort of average point. And I ask, are you happy with this result? Do you want to improve it? If you want to have another go, we'll give you another week to prepare another. And they usually say, no, I'm fine.
They can go back and rehearse and
They can go back. They're free to do it. When we finish with the whole presentation, with the whole show, then I tell them this was your final evaluation for this semester, and this is your final grade. Are you happy with your grades? And quite often I get the shocking look and saying, wow, this was a test? And I go like, yeah, this is your final test. This is your final grade. Are you happy with your grade? And they're all happy with their grades because there is always some time.
And because they've enjoyed the process. Everybody likes to show off.
They didn't even notice that it was a test. It was a show for them.
Exactly. Because when you've worked hard for something, you want to present it. You want to showcase what you've achieved.
Yeah.
And I personally respond and I showcase myself well when I'm in that situation. But the minute you put me in a test, even if I'm showing the exact same knowledge, I will do poorly in an exam. I don't like exams because I don't like to be told what to do, right?
And it's also
like many people.
There was a conference, I think, organized a couple of years ago on a European level, and the title of the conference was "Why Do Balkan Children Cheat?"
Yeah, there you go.
I think
that's an interesting
similar situation in many other countries.
I imagine it's everywhere.
It's like a thing here. Everybody's like, it's okay. Cheating is okay. I keep telling my students, how would you feel when one of your peers that is cheating on exams becomes a doctor one day and you have to go and get a treatment with that doctor? Would you have the confidence? Would you trust that person? But it's a cultural thing somewhere, So now cheating is okay. You get good grades so that you go to college and then you will learn something and become a professional. But my idea is, how about giving them a meaningful context now so that they don't really need to cheat, but they will be willing to produce outputs. They will be willing to show off their skills and their knowledge.
And I loved what you said about giving them the opportunity to say, are you happy with that level of score? Because we always want to say, like, for example, I've spent years doing presentations, for example. And at the end of a day conference, if I've presented, I'll toss and turn for a lot of the night. You know, I should have said this, I should have made that more clear. I should have referenced this more, you know, early on in the presentation so that the feedback would have been more robust or the conversation would have been more in depth. So the next time I do that same presentation, I'm going to take all of those personal reflective thoughts and I'm going to embed them into my new presentation. So for young people to be able to have that opportunity early on is only going to make them more skilled, and it's going to hone their knowledge on certain things they're doing. And then to be able to say, no, that wasn't my best effort, or that's not my best outcome that I was aiming for. And then you give them another week to go back and rehearse and review and redo and remake, and then present with pride their new and improved outcome. And I can't think of a better way to embed learning, because we put stigma around failure in education.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, we learn nothing from success. And we know that. We learn nothing from success. And a lot of young people who are always at the top of their grade come out of education and often struggle to find their purpose in life. They often struggle to find the job they were after or to really achieve in something big because they've not ever really had to struggle through anything. Whereas those maybe who've not been the best at stuff and have had to go back and think of how they're going to better it and do it better next time, maybe they have a bit more grit.
I was searching for a TED Talk that was 17 years ago, very popular, by Sir Ken Robinson. Maybe you know about this. The
I
School
do.
Skill Creativity.
Skill Creativity. Yeah,
he was
we can
actually
put a link
talking
to that in the bio because it's
I
wonderful.
will for sure. So the idea is that we have creativity is the #1 skill that we have to enhance. We have to help children, you know, unleash their creative potential, and they have a lot. They're afraid. You know, I ask questions that to challenge their thinking, their critical thinking, and they usually they don't want to share their thoughts because they're afraid they might say something that is wrong.
We've educated people out of creativity because we put a fear around getting it wrong.
Yes, because we
Whereas
prioritize.
actually every teacher should be pulling out what we don't know so that we can then take what we don't know, put it on the table.
Yes, and learn from the mistakes. Mistakes are okay. Make mistakes and let's learn from them. Let's improve. Let's get better. Let's get better. The process, why is this like this? Because we have prioritized, I don't know, I don't want to discredit any subject, but we have prioritized, for example, sciences rather than arts. Arts is the place where you can be creative, make mistakes, and it's not a big deal. You can learn from mistakes. But in mathematics, you have to be specific. If you make a tiny little mistake, there you go. You lose the whole, you know, task will be failure. But that's not, even in mathematics, we could also allow mistakes to be a learning tool.
So much more. And when you project learn,
especially when you do
project learn in mathematics, then you have that capacity, a platform to make mistakes or to not make the right.
I just when I got back from Belgrade, I was inspired to try out something new with my students. So they were supposed to do an essay about a famous person that sort of they're fascinated with. I gave them an example with Nikola Tesla. We went to the museum, but I gave them a choice. I first asked them, what do you think, is ChatGPT a cheating tool? And they said, well, yeah, teachers believe it's a cheating tool. You know, they are not allowed to use it in the classroom because we write essays, and essays, you know, we should write them by themselves. And I asked them the question, okay, where do you think essays will be applicable in your future professional development? Will you ever be required to write essays in your future jobs? And they went like, no. Well, how about presentations? Oh yeah, presentations will be very useful. We'll probably have to write a lot of presentations. So can I give you some suggestions? You have two options. One option, sit down and write an essay without ChatGPT on your own about the person. You can do some research based on these guidelines. Or second option, ask ChatGPT to prepare a text for you. Copy down that text and go to gamma.app and prepare a presentation on Gamma. Check out if everything is okay. Do a little bit of deeper analysis of the information, get some interesting facts, find out some more information because people might ask you some questions, prepare yourself, and next class come here and deliver the the presentation. Which option would you like to do? They all opted
of
for the
them chose
second.
the second, of
Yes,
course.
because it's
Of course.
challenging, it's new. And then when we came to class, they presented their presentations. There were some kids who went like, I focused more on the interesting digital process and I didn't really prepare well for the presentation, but they were aware that they had to prepare for the presentation. One girl was fully ready, and I asked her after we finished, she was presenting a presentation about it was, I think it was Mozart. She chose Mozart. And then I asked a lot of questions about the guy. You know, she was prepared. If she didn't know something, she would go like, let me just check. And she would Google it and find information, or just ChatGPT and then respond back. But it was a very natural flow, and she presented in a fantastic way. And I asked her, what do you think? Is ChatGPT a cheating tool? And she said, well, if the final goal is to write an essay, yes, it's cheating. But if the final goal is to produce a presentation which I will deliver in front of people that I have to get ready for and know many more facts because people will be asking questions, it's a fantastic tool because it cut down on my time, and now I'm ready and I'm prepared and I focus on other skills. And then we listed all the skills, you know, digital skills, presentation skills, research skills. And she was like, wow, have I done all of that? And I was like, yeah, you know.
Amazing.
So, but this is a meaningful context for the students, and it's applicable in the modern living, and you're preparing them for facing the challenges of the 21st century, and they love it.
Yes.
They were all
And
alert.
I
They were
want
all
to
like,
just shout from the rooftops here, don't fear AI. It's
don't fear
a
AI.
new tool. And actually, it's what you learn how to feed into the questions you're asking, the prompts you're giving the AI, so that it gives you the right information. And often what it does is it leads you down a further path to learn new things, to explore new things, and to discover new things. And that is all giving transferable skills and lifelong skills to young people. That's one. And I just want to pick up on something else you said, because we haven't got much time left. So I want to wrap up with what is it that actually embeds long-term learning? Now, our job as parents, educators, teachers, whomever, our job in any sort of development or education for our young people is so that they remember it, right? So that it sticks, so that it's something they can use on in the future. I can guarantee you that my children, who all got A's, B's, and C's in school, can tell you little about what they got A's, B's, and C's in now.
I can
And they're
tell you very
20
little.
something, they're 20 something years old, and they'll say, Mom, we've never used any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not gone into what's called long-term learning. Now, just a little sum up, and I'm not going to waffle on about neuroscience too long, but what needs to happen in the brain in order for us to have long-term learning? The first one, it needs to be relevant. And if it's relevant, we're motivated. And when we're motivated, this chemical cocktail in our brain, such as dopamine, epinephrine, etc., start to wake up. And we want more. And then we want to go further. And then if we feel pride in what we've done, or if we feel a challenge or a risk or some type of uncertainty, but we're still interested and we're involved, it's a rush for the brain. It's a rush like drugs.
Jubilee. Woohoo!
Literally, that cocktail is properly mixing. And they're going to wake up every morning and want to get back into it because they're interested. And the only time that long-term learning happens is when that happens, when we're motivated so much that we want to take autonomy, ownership, and purpose of what it is we're trying to learn.
Yeah, you mentioned all of them, and this is a
learning
cocktail.
To achieve a test does not do that.
I mean, what's the point of, okay, fine. As an educator, as a teacher of English as a foreign language, I know exactly from the first sentence what level my student is at. B1, B2.
And they do too. So, and they do too. They know.
They also know. But if you want to motivate them to improve, to engage, you have to create a meaningful context or a relevant context, as you said. For example, teachers complain that students don't want to read and write. How about establishing a school magazine? Student-led school magazine, not teachers, students. They decide on the topics. You just give them some web space, they do some research, help them check, build the articles or the structure of the articles in a proper way. I've done that. Sorry.
Or stop demonizing the stuff they want to read. If they want to read comic books or they want to read,
let them read.
How to make a video, read what you want to read. You don't have to read of my of Men, or you don't have to read, the Shakespeare thing that's
But
always,
if they have to write an essay that only the teacher will have to read, that's zero motivation. If they have to write an article that their peers
others are
will
going to
read
read.
and others going to read, that's 100% of motivation, and they will
So
be
much
fully
more.
engaged to make
Yeah.
sure that everything sounds super cool. So that, and of course they will be asking, they will be, can you help me with this one? I need some help. They come to you with a
Yeah.
specific requirement. I need to improve this. Can you please help me?
Amazing.
Rather than you pushing them, go and do this, and you have to achieve this, and then you let them grow. And we're slowly building this magazine in the school. First it was teachers who were the editors. Now we have 2 student editors, and it's completely student-led. From next year, we're establishing the designers sort of department, where they will be designing and digital media promotion through Instagram. We also want to start with videos and podcasts maybe from next year. So it's their ideas that I'm helping them make, realize and make come true.
Beautiful.
And in this kind of context, I can really literally relax, and the job is fully done by them because they are enjoying their role
of it.
as
Is
young
actually
journalists.
The job for teachers becomes easier because the children are actually doing most of the work, and their brains are working harder than ours because they're the ones that are really delving in. And actually it challenges us as teachers to want to get stuck in and learn something new too. So just to sum up, because you and I, Pedro, could talk all day.
Forever.
But our listeners, we're doing 30-minute bursts, and we've probably gone over a couple minutes, but never mind.
That's okay.
But just to sum up, peer-based learning, using interesting ways to showcase your learning and letting young people lead that, giving choice, whether or not they want to show their learning this way or this way, and whether they're happy with the outcome or the grade that they feel they're getting, and predominantly, or if they'd like to go back and better it, and making it really clear what it is they're aiming to achieve and what standard they're aiming to reach. And just want to sum up with one last point. You've mentioned a number of times about cheating. I think that that's a really old concept that we're stuck on, because actually collaboration is the stuff of growth, and companies thrive on collaboration, and the most wealthy companies are the ones that get everybody's brains together and figure out a new way of doing things. Learn from you, you learn from me. I take an idea from that one, I decipher it, make it my own, and off we go to something great. And that is cheating. That's finding someone else's knowledge and embedding it into your own, and then sharing now what you now know. But really, that's Descartes' theories of mind, isn't it? You have knowledge, I have knowledge, let's combine it and understand one another. So we need to scrap the whole thing about cheating and allow collaboration, allow group work, allow talking together.
I would even allow the
complete
use
this
of the
assessment
internet.
or test together.
I would even allow the use of the internet during exams.
Yeah, because then you're showing that you know how to research.
Of course.
And
that's the skill they need to have in the 21st century. They need to be able to find information online and solve a problem.
That's
so
it.
Why stopping them from using a tool which is
so
a tool they will
parents
use?
Stop telling kids they're cheating when they're looking something for information, because that's what they're going to need in life.
True.
Pero, thank you so much for your insight and your ideas and your creativity, and for articulating it so clearly. Thank you. We will put this up as a live and we'll work out our live issue for next time.
Super. Thanks
Have
a lot.
a wonderful afternoon.
You
and
too.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks.